Okay, so I'm reading stories from a website called scoopwhoop.com. I just found it randomly Googling short horror stories, and I just read one just now, and I kind of liked it. So I'm gonna reread it for you guys, and then see how the others pan out. So this one is called I Hate It When My Brother Charlie Has to Go Away. I hate it when my brother Charlie has to go away. My parents constantly try to explain how sick he is, that I am lucky for having a brain where all the chemicals flow properly to their destination like undammed rivers. When I complain about how bored I am without a little brother to play with, they try to make me feel bad by pointing out that his boredom likely far surpasses mine, considering he's confined to a dark room in an institute. I always beg for them to give him one last chance. Of course, they did at first. Charlie has been back home several times, each shorter in duration than the last. Every time, without fail, it all starts again. The neighborhood cats with gouged eyes showing up in his toy chest. My dad's razors found, dropped on the baby slide in the park across the street. Mom's vitamins replaced by bits of dishwasher tablets. My parents are hesitant now, using last chances sparingly. They say his disorder makes him charming, makes it easy for him to fake normalcy, and to trick doctors who care for him into thinking he's ready for rehabilitation. That I will just have to put up with my boredom if it means staying safe from him. I hate it when Charlie has to go away. It makes me have to pretend to be good until he's back. See, I like that one. I kind of saw the punchline. The punchline. I kind of saw where the story was going, and I assume a lot of you saw that as well. You know, the switcheroo. It's definitely not him, the bad kid. It's the actual person who has full capacity of the mind. That could be such a frightening idea for a psychological horror movie, but maybe a little bit too obvious to stretch out into like a 2 hour feature film. Feature film. Wow, can't pronounce. Okay, I've not read this next one, but I'll give it a go. It's called Guardians. He awoke to huge, insect like creatures looming above his head, screaming his lungs out. They hastily left the room and he stayed up all night, shaking and wondering if it had been a dream. The next morning there was a tap on the door. Gathering his courage, he opened it to see one of them gently placed a plate filled with fried breakfast on the floor, then retreated to a safe distance. Bewildered, he accepted the gift. The creatures chittered excitedly. This happens every day for weeks. At first, he was worried they were fattening him up, but after a particularly greasy breakfast left him clutching his chest from heartburn, they were replaced with fresh fruit. As well as cooking, they poured hot, steamy baths for him and even tucked him in to bed. It was bizarre. One night, he awoke to gunshots and screaming. He raced downstairs to find a decapitated burglar being devoured by the insects. He was sickened, but disposed of the remains as best he could. He knew they had just been protecting him. One morning, the creatures wouldn't let him leave his room. He lay down confused, but trusting as they ushered him back into bed. Whatever their motives, they weren't going to hurt him. Hours later, a burning pain spread throughout his body. It felt like his stomach was filled with razor wire. The insects chittered as he spasmed and moaned. It was only when he felt a terrible squirming feeling beneath his skin that he realized the insects hadn't been protecting him. They had been protecting their young. Okay, that was chill. I wanted it to be a little bit longer, a little bit more gruesome, with like the imagery of insects popping out of his skin. And then it's a little bit abstract as well because it had no real placing. Where did these insects come from? What are they doing? Why him? The insects that sprout from him, what do they do next? Where are they hiding? Are they living in their house? Are they living outside? Does this person not have a job? I feel like it's a silly concept because it's very just like insects. But at the same time, there's a lot more that could have been touched on, you know. Okay, next one, Scene Red. The first day of school. Everyone loves the first day of school, right? New year, new classes, new friends. It's a day full of potential and hope. Before all the dreary depression of reality shows up to ruin all the fun. I like the first day of school for a different reason though. You see, I have a sort of power. When I look at people, I can sense a sort of aura around them, a colored outline based on how long that person has to live. Most everyone I meet around my age is surrounded by a solid green hue, which means they have plenty of time left. A fair amount of them have a yellowy orange tinge to their auras, which tends to mean a car crash or some other tragedy. Anything that takes people before their time, as they say. The real fun is when the auras venture into the red end of the spectrum though. Every now and again I'll see someone who's basically a walking stoplight. Those are the ones who get murdered or kill themselves. It's such a rush to see them and know their time is numbered. With that in mind, I always get to class very eagerly so I can scout out my classmates' fates. The first kid who walked in was basically radiating red. I chuckled to myself. Too damn bad, bro. But as people kept walking in, they all had the intent. Okay. But as people kept walking in, they all had the same intense glow. I finally caught a glimpse of my rose tint reflection in the window, but I was too stunned to move. Our professor stepped in and locked the door. His aura, a sickening shade of green. I really like that one. That one I started off like how I expressed the character of like being very like happy. Hey, I love the first day of school. And then he becomes like this very like sinister, subtly malicious person, you know, just enjoying the misery of others. And then to have that sort of like backfire and like you have the superpower you couldn't you were too late to use on yourself. As I was reading that, I was actually laughed to myself. That was chill. Okay, I'll leave it there for now. I think three is all I've got for now. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.